Welcome to Podcasting Smarter, the podcast for podcasters by podcasters. Podcasting Smarter is the official podcast from Podbean, featuring podcasting interviews, best practices, and helpful tips. We're here to give you the tools, resources, product updates, and news to help you get started podcasting and keep your podcast growing.
Hello and welcome to Podcasting Smarter. This is Norma Jean Belenky, Podbean's head of events. And in today's episode, we're having a conversation with VP of Sales and Marketing, Mark Pafume, on Podbean's really exciting new announcement, our SOC 2 certification. Hello and welcome. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Norma Jean. It's great to be here.
So excited to have you and so excited to talk about SOC 2. So first off, can you explain what the SOC 2 Type 2 compliance means and why it's important for podcast hosting solutions and enterprise podcast hosting solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. So SOC 2 Type 2 compliance basically provides for a third-party verification that an organization meets a uniform set of standards that ensures security and continued operation and recovery in a way that is understood across the industry and then verified simply so that it can compress a lot of the verification and auditing process that goes with onboarding a new SaaS solution.
Yeah, absolutely. So that sounded like a lot of terms there, Mark. So let's break it down for everybody out there.
Yeah.
It's something where at Podbean, we host over 640,000 podcasts. So many podcasts. It's really incredible. And on the public side, so many independent voices and podcasters are hosted with us, and they would have, their one podcast hosted with us. But at Podbean, we also have plans for podcast networks and then also for businesses and companies on an enterprise level, Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies. And those companies have really advanced security requirements. So what you're saying is that the SOC 2 really just enables everybody to say, hey, we meet the standard without having to get into the details of it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So in the dark days before the SOC 2 certification was available for us, each company that we dealt with would have a long list of questions, and we'd go through many meetings to go through verifications and provide evidence and go through that whole process. And SOC 2 just provides a really nice, tidy way to say, hey, if you're a large organization with complex security requirements, if you deal with personally identifiable information, if you need to comply with regulations across the world, SOC 2 compliance essentially allows you to say, hey, we've got all these things that we do. A third party has verified that, and we can skip the long meetings and questionnaires.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really important on the business side because apart from all of the public podcasts, like we were talking about with indie podcasters and a lot of branded podcasts, a lot of large companies are using Podbean for private podcasting, which is encrypted and secure, and it's a really different product. So a lot of companies are using Podbean with our secure app, Podbean Pro, to use podcasting for onboarding, training, sales enablement, DEI. There's a lot of really cool use cases where companies that don't want internal information broadcast and have a lot of security requirements are able to now just know we have SOC 2 certification and that, we meet a certain standard. So it's really exciting for us as a company, especially on the enterprise side, which isn't something we talk about a lot because publicly we're talking a lot about indie podcasters and resources and tools for how to get your podcast up and running. So it's a really fun update on that end. And next I want to ask you, how did Podbean achieve SOC 2 compliance?
Yeah, so it starts with a review of our processes and our controls, our architecture, and we basically put together all of the evidence that would go along to show that we meet these standards. We review them against those standards, and we make up any of the updates or additions or changes that we might need to do. We get that submitted, and that evidence gets put together into what's called a SOC 2 Type 1 report. And that report contains all of the information for how we would comply with the AI CPA standards. And from that point, we then enter into an audit period where a third party comes to verify that everything we put into that Type 1 report is in fact how we operate. And as we come out of that audit period and all the boxes get checked that, yes, this is how it's done, then we are able to present a Type 2 report, which is essentially all of that SOC 2 Type 1 information, along with the attestation of a third party audit verifying that this is in fact how the company operates.
Yeah, makes sense. And for everybody out there, the AICPA is the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. So
oh, yes.
It's an organization that is above board and really about certifying and making sure things are exactly what they say they are. So it's a really important aspect as well. And I want to talk next about what the benefits are from using a podcast hosting platform with SOC 2 Type 2 certification for enterprise level customers. And how does that differ from other hosting solutions?
Yeah, so I think the biggest advantage of working with an organization like ours that has this SOC 2 Type 2 certification is stability and security. At the end of the day, what you're guaranteeing is that the company will continue to operate regularly and that your information will be secure, whether that's the information inside of your podcast, if you're using it for training or CEO fireside chats, or it's just the email addresses that you need to make sure stay secure under GDPR regulations. All of that information is secure with a SOC 2 Type 2 certified organization. And so that's kind of the biggest advantage, is just that certainty and knowledge that you're going to get the stability and security. But beyond it, you don't just have to take the word of whatever company you're dealing with. This is, again, third-party verified. So we provide evidence. You get a real sense of surety about how the company operates and how the company protects your data. That isn't just a set of procedures that you kind of take our word for. And additionally, it really does significantly reduce that evaluation time and the cost associated with adopting a SaaS platform, because we basically essentially take it down to a yes or no, right? It's kind of a Boolean. Do they meet SOC 2 criteria? If so, great, check the box and we can move on. In a lot of cases, that's all the more that the InfoSec and IT teams need to start the onboarding process with our solution. And then lastly, many of the companies that we work with are prestige world organizations that are also SOC 2 certified. And because of that, there's a requirement inside of that SOC 2 compliance that your supply chain is secured. And the easiest way to ensure that secured supply chain is that everybody down your supply chain is SOC 2 certified as well. So as a vendor to SOC 2 certified companies, we really simplify that process to ensure that they maintain their compliance for their SOC 2 Type 2 certifications as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something where when you work for a company and you're so excited, what we've seen with a lot of our enterprise clients, a lot of our Podbean Pro clients, is that, this is somebody who loves podcasting, who's excited about podcasting, that wants to use podcasting as a medium within their company, taking their love of podcasting to their day job, right? So a lot of the time, things can get slowed down by making sure that you've met IT compliance, by making sure that your legal team's on board. There's so many different hurdles to get an initiative to podcast within your company across the line, to the point where you've signed up, everything's good to go, and you're podcasting within your company. So like you said, it reduces that time that really can be a hurdle for a lot of companies. We've had Vimal Parker from Slalom come on and spoke with us, and she said that procurement is something that a lot of companies need to consider, because you're so excited, you have the initiative, you want to start podcasting from day one, and your IT team and your compliance team is like, wait, and every vendor that you have as a company or a Fortune 500 company, an enterprise level organization, you have to make sure that they meet those really strict security standards of your company. So it really helps streamline that process, which is why we're really excited about it. And Podbean Pro really caters to the needs of corporate customers seeking a secure and reliable platform for hosting private podcasts. And I want to talk a little bit about the features that set it apart from other enterprise podcast hosting solutions, because we're encrypted and secure. So Mark, can you tell us a little bit about that as well? Just kind of an overview, because we talk about it a lot here on Podcasting Smarter, but SSO and making sure things are encrypted and secure is a really high priority for us.
Yeah, it really started around enabling customers to be able to tell the stories that were going to be impactful inside of their companies, right? They had to be able to freely speak about upcoming products, to speak about what's going on at the company without fearing that it was going to have a whole lot of escape paths and leak out into the world. And so a lot of the early work in private podcasting was done in unlisted RSS feeds. And we just found that wasn't sufficient for the customers that we had, that they really needed to be able to secure it. Beyond that, just you can't find it easily. It really needed to be behind an actual wall. And so our private podcasts are actually delivered encrypted and not by RSS feed, but over a secure application. They're behind a wall on any of the devices such that you can listen offline, but you can't access the downloaded file from the device. All the information is encrypted in transit and at rest. And that really does enable a different conversation in these organizations than you could otherwise have through something like an unlisted RSS feed. So really that full encryption and the different delivery method is the biggest difference between how we do things and where the rest of the industry is. And that's where we really came to the SOC 2 certification, is because now we're dealing with organizations that can rely on us to provide that secure information. They also need to be able to verify doing so. So to my knowledge, we are the only podcasting platform that is SOC 2 Type 2 certified. And, along with our full encryption and our unique delivery system, I think that makes us a really interesting place to go for podcasting that otherwise couldn't exist.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like we said, you have all the security and then you have the mobility of a secure app. So for everybody out there who works for a large company and is thinking, oh, maybe I want to have, or even a small company, you want to have podcasting at your job, but maybe it's sensitive information, anything like that, you're going to even be able to have an app that people can have on their phone, but it's encrypted and secured so that people within your organization, your private members, your employees, your staff can listen to the content on their commute, on a walk, maybe if they're in sales when they're in transit, right?
Yeah.
They can do all of that. And at the same time, that it's secure. And so it's a really good feature of the platform. There's a lot of great information on our enterprise solutions, and we've got a link here in the show notes if you want to learn more. Well, Mark, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for this really exciting update on our SOC 2 Type 2 compliance.
Thank you, Norma Jean. We're excited to be out with it.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Podcasting Smarter. If you have any podcasting questions or want to get in touch, send us an email at podcastingsmarter@podbean.com. Thanks so much and happy podcasting.